Hey, Facebook. What is this? Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Good to see everybody. If you're hopping on live, please say hey. I hope this is actually working. We've had some weird internet things happening and I think I have like a weird filter on. This is weird. Well, we're just gonna go with it. So anyway, if you're watching by replay, go ahead and put hashtag replay in the comments. That would be awesome. I would love to thank you for your time and hanging out with me today or tonight or tomorrow, whenever this is that you watch. Let me introduce myself first, and then I'm gonna hop right into our content. I've been thinking about this live for a really long time and kind of piecing it together, and I think I've got some value for you guys. So I'm so excited to share. So I'm Ashley Salmadani, and I am a wife. I'm a mama to a toddler named Taylor. That's where my blog name comes from. A lot of people think or assume my name's Taylor, but it's not, it's Ashley. And I'm a full-time stay-at-home mompreneur. So I see someone is hopping on. If you can, let me know. Can you comment or say hi so I can see if this is working? I've been having the weirdest internet issues. But you guys, here's my question for you for today. Have you ever felt like you're in a place where you were stuck? So have you ever felt like you're in a place where you're stuck, whether that be in a job, in a relationship, in a location, in a company? Have you felt like you were stuck? If you were, you don't have to say what it was. And I think everyone's probably gonna have this experience in some time in their life, but if you can put a raised hand emoji, solidarity for those of us who have ever felt stuck. So you know when you just feel you're trucking along, you plan out your life, you plan for things to go a certain way, and then you just find yourself feeling like you're not in the place that you're supposed to be, like something needs to change. So what do you do when that happens? And if you're hopping on, I'm really worried I'm not, if you guys are commenting, I can't see, so I'm sorry. But what do you do when you find yourself in that circumstance? When something needs to change, something needs to give? It's called a pivot, okay? And I call it like a prayerful pivot. Not just some reckless decision where you're making a change willy-nilly, but making a pivot. And you have endless supplies of these pivots in your life. And don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. So tonight, I'm gonna share with you 5 keys to making a successful life and particularly business pivot, just based on my experience and some of the things I've been thinking about over time on how I've been able to make some pretty big pivots without, a ton of chaos ensuing or loss of confidence or whatever else. So I hope these are helpful to you. I'm going to be kind of checking on my notes to make sure I'm on track and that I give you guys all the value that I hope to. So anyway, the last time that I felt stuck, I was thinking about it. I'm like, okay, I felt this majorly probably 3 times in my life, but the last biggest one was about this time a year ago. So about this time a year ago, and I'm just gonna check and make sure that I'm actually live because I can see viewers, but no comments. Am I live? It could just be my internet, you guys. Oh no, am I not? Okay. No, I am. Okay, well, we'll just get on with it. So anyway, about this time a year ago, I felt like I was totally stuck. I was in that place of being stuck. Hey, Carrie, woo! Okay, comments are working. I've got a filter on accident. I don't know how to get it off, so I don't know if that's something I can do. If you know how, please let me know. But anyway, so felt stuck about a year ago. I was in one of those places where I'm like, okay, I had started building a business and I got into network marketing, not knowing what I was getting into at all, just trying to do something as a side hustle. I was a newly left my career stay-at-home mama and was just looking for a way to make a little bit of side income and sharing a product that I like. I did not intend for it to then blow up and like take over my whole life, but flash forward a year into building that business and pouring my heart and soul into it, because once it started taking off, I just felt like that's what I needed to do. About this time last year, I was in that place where I thought, holy crap, I'm stuck. It's not necessarily bad, but it's not what I wanted for my life. And it didn't feel totally like me for a lot of reasons. Hi, Megan. And I wanted to kind of clear up just a couple things before I get into the ways to pivot. I wanted to explain a few reasons that were not reasons for making the pivot, because I think that's important. I've been having some conversations, so this has just been on my heart. I did make a lane change. I ended up making that pivot. I ended up making a lane change. And for those of you who have been following my journey, you know that that's been a very successful pivot, but I want to talk to you about the reasons why I did not make that pivot, not why I did, but why I didn't, and then give you some tips on how I did that and some things that I think can apply to any life change that you're looking to make. So number one, I didn't make the pivot from my first company to what I'm doing now, which is a completely different animal. But I didn't leave because I wasn't like making any money or experiencing any success. It wasn't like, oh, this isn't working, it's totally not working. I was making a decent income, but when I really broke down two things, number one, how much I was actually making versus the amount of overwhelming hours that I was having to spend to do that, gosh, it really, honestly, I mean, it's probably an embarrassing number. And no amount of money is worth having no life. And that's the place that I found myself. I found myself spending all my time working this business, which wasn't all bad, but it was bad because I was spending all my time doing it. I hope that makes sense. And the other piece that I weighed into that was, yeah, I was making okay, decent money, not anything astronomical, but a full-time salary, a small full-time salary, but no one else on my team was winning. So here I had, out of nowhere, brought on board over 70 women in a period of 10 months, but I was really the only one experiencing success, and I didn't know the questions to ask before getting into that company to know why that was the way it was. And I'm happy to share with you all more on that at another time or offline of why that was the way it was, because you'd think, wow, if you're sponsoring that many people into your business, you must be making big bucks. No, not the case in these traditional companies. So anyway, it wasn't because I wasn't making money. I left in my highest month. I didn't make the pivot because I wasn't making any money. And so I wanted to clear that up. It also wasn't about the products. I still use and love the products from my first company. I believe in them. I stand behind them. I promoted them for a year. And I love them, and I still use them, and I now pay full price for them. And then the third one, it wasn't about the people. It wasn't like, oh, that I gotta get out of this, this horrible place with these horrible people. Not at all. I love the people that I met, the connections that I made, my team. It wasn't about the people. It was about the people in the sense that, my goodness, as a leader, once you figure out that bringing people on board will not bring them the success that they're hoping for when they're applying their work ethic, that feeling freaking sucks. So it was about the people in a sense that for me as a leader, being able to sleep at night, realizing, wait a minute, I'm making this amount of success and I'm bringing on a lot of people into the business. I am working full-time round the clock, and that's how much success I'm experiencing. Wow, that really sucks. I can't look someone in the face and really say, oh yeah, you can do it. So for me and for my goals and the kind of business that I wanted to build and the type of presence that I wanted to have online, which is just being me, it wasn't working. So at the end of the day, the reason was it wasn't a right fit for me and for my lifestyle and honestly for people, because of the nature of the business and because of the nature of loving to lead a team. I couldn't do it anymore. So that's the reason why I needed to make a big pivot. It was a hard decision. It was so scary. And big pivots and big life decisions, whether or not you're looking at changing jobs or moving or getting out of a relationship, whatever it is, there's so much fear because of uncertainty, right? Like, believe me, I was scared to death. The last couple of, probably a month and a half when I was thinking about making my last pivot about a year ago, I was like, gosh, first of all, what do I do? I'm going to stop building this, but what the heck am I going to do? I've, kind of pigeonholed myself and, oh gosh, I was just so anxious and so stressed and fearful. But I committed to making a change and figuring out what I was going to do. So it's really important when you're looking to make a pivot and you decide to make a change that you follow through with that. See it through despite your fears and despite your uncertainty. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. I'm going to look at my notes because I'm totally off topic. So anyway, yeah, my fears. I wanted to tell you my fears as far as that specific pivot, because I think they're the fears that we experience anytime we're wanting to make a change. Hi, Marion. My fears were really, what would people say or think about me? I'm, leaving a business that I've been pouring my heart and soul into, that I did believe in up to a certain point. What would people say or think? I was really fearful of that. Like, would I lose friendships? What would happen? did I, if I did choose to build another type of business online, did I even have what it took to be as successful as I want to be? Like, what would really be different? Would it be different? Even though I saw the potential, did I have what it took to be successful? So I had these fears. And what you can apply that to a relationship, a job, a location. We have those questions about ourselves and our own capacity, and questions about what other people will think. I think those are like the two kind of critical, pieces or fears that we have. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you so much. It might have looked like that, but I was really, really, really nervous. And you obviously know that. Carrie was a huge support in transitioning from something and, pushing through some of those fears. But I did it. I pushed through that uncertainty, you guys, and it's paid off big time. Like, bigger than I anticipated. My goals for, a year, being in this business for now, like 10 and a half months, where I thought I would be at this point, I far exceeded that. My team has far exceeded that. And so it's been a blessing, and it's nice to look back and see that I felt like something was off. I knew I needed to make a pivot to get back on the track for what I wanted my life and my brand and my business to look like. And now I'm back on that track, and I'm happy. My team is happy, thriving, successful, and it was worth taking that risk and pushing through that uncertainty. Hi, Nicole. All right, so let me look at my notes again. And I don't say any of that like, oh, I've been successful. There's still plenty of room for me to grow, but I say that because I know there are some people that doubt whether or not when they make a pivot to anything, from a relationship, from a location, from a career, from a job, from a company. I know I'm a pretty confident person, but I doubted in what could be different, what could be better. And I say all of those things because there can be. Sometimes it takes a catalyst. I know for me, it was in looking at what I'm doing now and looking at social retail. I saw something and I thought, oh, that's really good. Like, that's something I can see myself doing. That's something I can see anyone doing, regardless of whether they like to team build or recruit. That's something I could see anyone doing. That's just like, it was so appealing, and it was a catalyst for getting me to kind of make that final pivot. But all that to say, I'm the same exact girl as I was with my first company, the same hustle, but now it's a completely different story. So you have to trust your instincts, you have to trust yourself, and you have to just take the freaking pivot, I'm telling you. So let me get into the, the 5 tips, and I'm gonna look at these because I really have been thinking about these for a while. 5 tips for you guys on how to successfully make a seamless, authentic life or business transition. I really think these things can apply across the board. Like I said, if you know me, I've made really some pretty big pivots, and these things apply to almost all of them universally. So anyway, I hope they're helpful for you. Oh, I see Sharon's on. Hi, Sharon. Good to see you. Okay, 1, this is big. Stop feeling like you need permission to pivot. Okay, and this was huge for me. I'm a chronic recovering people pleaser. It was so hard for me historically to feel like I didn't need permission from someone else to make a change for my life, which makes no sense, right? So if you're someone who feels like you need permission, here is your permission slip. I'm giving you a permission slip to make a pivot if you need to in your life. If you're doing something or with someone within reason, or living somewhere, whatever it is that's not serving you any longer, and you can make a pivot and you want to make a pivot, go do it. You have my permission. You don't need anyone's permission. Take it and go with it. I don't care if the last pivot that you made was like a month ago. If you feel like what you're doing is not serving you, and it's not serving your family, and it's not serving other people, please take your pivot. So that's my number 1 tip, is to stop feeling like you need permission, because you don't. There's an endless, limitless supply of pivots that you can take in your life. And so that's number 1. So I hope that was a helpful one. If it was, drop a number 1 in the comments. I would love to see which of these kind of resonate with you all the most. These are definitely things that I think about all the time. Hi, Samantha. Thanks for hopping on. Hi, Kathleen. All right. Tip number 2, or key number 2 to making a life or business pivot and having it be seamless and authentic and all of those good things is number 2, you gotta choose. This sounds so basic, and maybe it is too basic, but choose to stop being stressed and unhappy. you have to make the choice to stop being stressed and stop being unhappy. I think about a year ago, I was, running 6 to 10 Facebook online parties. And for some of you, you're like, what does that mean? Basically 6 to 10 Facebook demo online parties. I was attached to my phone. It absolutely sucked. Even though I liked the people that I met, the time I was spending was just silly. It was absolutely silly. And I was stressed. I was literally having to like recreate the wheel on everything. Loved my team, but I was doing so much and I was so stressed to the point where I ended up in the ER with like a gallbladder thing happening. This is TMI, but I had to make the choice to just stop being stressed. That was on me. I was doing that to myself by not listening to God, by not taking the pivot, because I just wanted to barrel through and do whatever I needed to do to be successful and not be a quitter. I wouldn't listen. I just kept going. But I was stressed and I was unhappy, and I knew my family was unhappy because of that. So number 2, make the choice to stop being stressed and unhappy. Get off the hamster wheel. If you feel like you're on a hamster wheel and you're doing this and you're not really getting anywhere, get off of it. Don't complain. Don't feel sorry for yourself. You got to pivot. If you're in that place where you're like negative Nancy, and I've totally 100% been there, you have got to do something. You've got to pull yourself up by your, britches or pants. Sorry, like I'm in the 1950s or something. Pull yourself up by your britches and make a change, make a pivot. So you have to make that choice to make the pivot and devote your energy to something that you see for your future and as being something that you want in your life. So that's my number 2. So number 1, stop feeling like you need permission. You have permission to pivot any freaking time you want. Number 2, you got to make that choice to stop being unhappy and stressed and get off the hamster wheel. You have to, whatever that looks like, whatever the situation is, you have to make the choice. And then number 3, this is really important. I'm going to drink a little bit of my coffee because, and I'm sorry you guys for this filter. I think I accidentally pushed a filter and now I don't know how to get it off, and I know it's really it's weird looking. I feel like I'm in a cloud. But anyway, number 3, this, again, for a chronic people pleaser. If you're a people pleaser, hashtag people pleaser in the comment. I want to know who are my other either recovering people pleasers or current people pleasers. Let go of your need to explain and justify your pivots. So if you're going to make one, let go of this burning need to explain what you're doing, why you're doing it. And trust me, I have that desire all the time. Like, oh, but if only they knew the truth. I need to justify this. No, you don't. Stop it. So let go of that. You don't have to share anything that you don't want to. Obviously, if you're building a business online and you are like living your life on public social media, that's a little bit more tricky, but you don't owe anyone any kind of explanation. As long as you're being authentic, you're moving forward with your integrity, you don't owe anyone an explanation. Hi Tiffany, thanks for hopping on. It's really whatever pivots you make, they're between you, God, and your family. Anyone else's opinion really at the end of the day doesn't matter. So I know that's hard, especially if you're a people pleaser, but you gotta let go of kind of that need to justify or explain the pivots you make if you don't want to be more stressed than you need to as you're in a transition to something new. So that was a huge one for me. When I made the change from my first company to what I'm doing now, I had to just stop really worrying about what people think or feeling like I needed to call everyone up and explain everything. The people who care and the people who love you and support you and believe in you, they're gonna come to you and ask you questions, or they're gonna allow you to give your explanation if you want. And even if they don't understand, they're still gonna love you. So that's number 3. Number 4, this is really important. I'm going to read this because I gave a list of things that I wanted to share with you. So set a timeline. When you're going to make a pivot, so you make this decision that you're going to make a change. So you're going to start looking for a new job. You're going to change careers. You're going to leave this relationship. You're going to move. You're going to change companies or stop building with your company that you're in now. You're just, for whatever reason, set a timeline. So give yourself a timeline. And this helps with like the impulsivity thing. Like, if you're someone who's like, I gotta make a decision, I'm gonna jump into the next shiny object or in with the next shiny person, or, if you're someone who tends to do that, this is for you. So set a timeline to explore your options. So to look at your options, to be prayerful about the decision that you're making, about next steps, what God wants for your life, who he wants you to influence, who he wants you to, if you're making a pivot, it's for a purpose. So being in prayer, talking to trusted advisors and mentors. So give yourself time to do this. Time to let go of the past or whatever it is that's holding you back from making this pivot. Time to honestly forgive yourself for not listening and not making a pivot earlier. So forgiving yourself of, wow, how did I get into this situation? Why didn't I leave it and make a pivot sooner? Give yourself a timeline to let go of that. Let go of it and move on. You can't carry your past with you like Santa Claus with a knapsack. You can't carry that with you on your back through your decisions, or you're never going to be happy or content. You're always going to have that literal baggage with you. So think about what feels like the life and business that you want, and then just set a timeline to process through all of that. Be prayerful, seek mentorship, talk to people. This is exactly what I did. I gave myself about a month before I made a full decision to pivot to do what I'm doing now. I was looking at, do I want to, create online courses? Do I want to ramp back up my blog and have that be my full-time income? Do I want to be, my background is special education and educational leadership. Did I want to be a consultant, an educational consultant? Did I want to be a parent advocate? I had to think through all these things, pray, talk to my husband, talk to trusted advisors, and then ultimately make a pivot into what I thought would be best and where I felt God was calling me. So I really encourage you to set a timeline and give yourself time for all of those things. Hi, Mary. And then lastly, I alluded to this earlier, but don't be afraid of uncertainty and risk. When you're making a pivot, it's very rare. It's so rare. Sorry, you guys, got a call. I can't even think of a circumstance in my life where I've made a life change where it's just been a surefire, I know exactly how this is gonna play out. I see the future in my little crystal ball. It's just never happened that way. There's always some uncertainty and risk. There's always gonna be those wonders. Do I have what it takes? Will things be different? Will life go on? Or whatever it might be, however dramatic it might be. But you've gotta take those calculated, prayerful risks and move through the uncertainty. Uncertainty is also I think of uncertainty as a sense of possibility. Like, what could be possible? I always ask myself the phrase, I started doing this about 2 years ago. I ask myself, what is the best thing that can happen? Not what's the worst thing that can happen. What's the best thing that can happen? So when you're faced with uncertainty, think of it as possibilities of what's the best thing that can happen. So for me, when I made the transition, the worst thing that could happen is I did what I felt in my heart was right for myself and for my integrity. That was the worst thing that could happen, is leaving something that was no longer serving me and feeling that freedom. The best thing that can happen, I can't even think of the best thing that can happen because I feel like I've already gotten to something amazing, but there's so much more. There's so much more that God has for your life if you're willing to kind of make those risks and make those pivots and move toward things that are going to serve your life and serve others better. Okay, so when you feel that kind of tugging at your heartstrings, like you need to make a pivot, whether it's a relationship, whether it's business, career, companies, do it. Take your pivot. You don't need permission to do that. Do it scared, and trust that things are going to work out as long as you're being prayerful, you're being thoughtful about it. So I hope that that's helpful. You have to, if you feel like your life is on a course and you've got, you should see where I am. I'm up under my desk, my legs are trapped. It's kind of awkward. But anyway, if you find your life on a course that you don't want it to be on, it's up to you to self-correct. Life is too short to not self-correct. I think for me, a year ago, and I promise I'm wrapping up. Do it scared. Good. About a year ago, I was looking at my life and I just looked at it. I'm like, all right, this isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's not what I see for my life in 5, 10, 15 years. So I challenge you, whatever pivot you're looking to make, whatever you're, in your mind, in the back of your mind, you're like, ooh, yeah, I need to do something. I need to course correct. Think about your life in 5, 10, 15 years. Is what you're doing serving that purpose, the person that you want to be, the influence that you want to have, the positive things that you want to do? Is what you're doing actually going to get you there? And if you can say with wholehearted certainty, yeah, then that's probably not a pivot you need to make. But if you have those like red alert bells in your mind and you just don't feel like you're living your full, best authentic life, then a pivot is probably necessary. And I know it's scary, but you guys can do it. If you found this valuable and there's someone that's like coming to mind or coming to your heart, or you would love to share this, I would really appreciate it. Please do. If you are curious, if you are in online business, because I know I was in this space and I don't know who, maybe there's one person that this will resonate with, but if you're in that place and you're like, well, what is she doing now? And what's so different? And what was that catalyst to make this pivot from leaving a full-time income that's now 4 times itself within 10 months with something new? What is this? If that's something that interests you, or you would just straight up like to know what it is that I'm doing now, I'm an open book. I'd be happy to share that with you. You can always send me a message and just say, hey girl, like, what is it that you do now? And I'd be happy to chat with you, happy to get you some information. I know I'm like a weirdo, and I basically like prospected myself to my now sponsor and biz bestie. I was like, I would be great to work with you. But I know not everyone's like that. And so if you need like an invitation to chat with me about it and just get some information, literally no pressure. It's not one of those deals. So just reach out, or you can actually comment below info. Just comment info, and then I will connect with you if that is less like scary and intimidating. But anyway, I hope you guys found this valuable. If you did, #value in the comments, and I will see you all soon. Thank you so much for your time. I love hanging out with you guys and appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me.